So am I audible?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Sir, good
Good,
morning.
good morning, everyone. So again, in line with the yesterday's continuation, yesterday's lecture, I'm continuing with my discussion. And since we are discussing right now uh, the meta characters and different commands which we frequently use in Linux, and in fact they are important to learn because the same commands are to be used as part of any shell program. So I have written some few variables or character sequences on whiteboard. I mean, at first point, when you look at what I wrote over here was $0 to $9. So basically, these are the predefined variables, and they are actually positional variables or positional parameters. You must be knowing that when we learn C language, uh, we also learn command line arguments where we pass on certain values to main function. And you know that in case of main function, we are bound to use only two variables. Out of these two variables, the first must be an integer and second must be an array of strings. Like we used to write in case of C, that in case of main, we used to write int argc and character star argv. So normally what is happening whenever we write any function, we are passing some values to those functions. And in order to hold those values or to process those values as part of function, we are writing some variables inside the bracket. And usually we maintain the sequence because when you call that function, let us suppose that function name is ABC. So when you call that function, you may be supplying 4 and 4.5 as two values. Now in the definition of ABC, you must have written that the first argument is an integer and second argument is suppose a float. So in order to hold these two values which we are supplying from function call, we are making use of these two variables a and b. So a is holding obviously the value of 4 and b will be holding 4.5. Now similarly, since all the functions which we write in C program, we can pass some value to that function, maybe from some other function. Okay. But you must initiate that ladder of function from main function itself. I mean, it may be possible that inside the main you are calling A, and inside A you are calling B, and inside B you are calling C. But at least you have to start this ladder from the main. So we always make use of this kind of syntax in C language. So main is also a function. So obviously main can also be passed some value. So the question arises if when we are writing user defined functions, we can pass values to those user defined functions either from main or from any other function. Maybe for example, in case of B, we are supplying the value from A. In case of C, we are supplying value from B. And in case of A, we are supplying from main. But the question rises ki to main from where we have to pass on some values. So there comes the command line. Because when we call any C program or when we execute any C program, like let us suppose my program name is PRG. The compiled version, final version is PRG. So when I write PRG 4, 5, that means I am passing two values on command line. So 4 and 5, they will obviously be assigned to variables which you have written inside the main. So what will happen? This argc actually, in case of other functions, you have the option of taking as many variables as possible. Like one such example which I am showing over here is the first variable should be of integer type, second is of float type, third you may take, fourth you may take. That depends what kind of coding you are doing at as part of this ABC function. So accordingly, we are passing some values and there will be one-to-one correspondence. I mean, if you are using four variables in the as a argument in the ABC function definition, then four values you have to pass from function call at the point of function call. Like here we are passing only two values. Why? Because we are making use of two variables only. But in case of this main function, you may write any number of values on screen. on command line, sorry, 4 5 6 5 or any number of, okay, some strings also. But those many variables, one-to-one correspondence, we are not writing in the bracket of main. Rather, we are writing every time two variables only, because the concept is somewhat different here. The value of argc is implicitly set to the number of arguments which you are passing on command line. So if you look at this, this is 1 2 3 4 5, so total 5 values I am passing. So argc will implicitly be set to 5. So in this argc, that's why it seems logical to keep the name of argc. It stands for argument count. I mean, whatever number of arguments you are passing on command line, the count of that is stored in argc. Now, where do we store these values inside main? Because inside the main you have to access all these values, so they become the part of argv. So what will happen? This argv 0 will hold the value prg, argv 1 will hold the value 4, sorry, this 1 will hold the value 4. Similarly, 2 will hold the value 5, 3 will hold the value 6, and 4 will hold the value 5 again. And mind it, everything is a string. So even if you are passing numerals, but the inside this main, they are treated as a string only. So by this way, we can pass on certain values. And since we are passing these values from the command, so they are called command values, command line values. And in order to hold those values in the variables which we are writing in the main, we say they are the command line variables which we are writing inside the main function. So this concept actually is applicable to Unix and Linux also. So what happens normally? So far you have been writing the program in C or Java, where when you write that program or you let that program to run, the program is executed and then it prompts you to enter the value. Normally we write this kind of program that the program is interactive and it keeps taking values from you and it is prompting you. But we also have the option of providing input here only on command line, so that it is not prompting us to take the value, rather on command line itself we are passing the values. So this concept is very important to understand, because all the commands which we are using, they have been written in using this concept only in C language. Okay. And that is why it is happening ki you are making use of copy command in DOS and you write source file name and you write target file name. So somebody might have written the code of copy command as part of operating system, and that takes two values on command line or expects two values on command line. One is source file name and second is target file name. And inside the program or inside the program as part of coding, that fellow must have written the concept of opening these two files, source and target file, whatever name you have specified on command line. And accordingly, he must have used some logic of taking the content from one file and copying them to target file. And we all see this as if it's a ready-made command available to us. But you know that commands are basically names of some specific programs which are either the part of shell or which may be the part of kernel. And what is happening, it is also possible that some of the commands which are not part of shell, they are explicitly available as part of operating system. And those commands whose code is already embedded in shell, because you know that in order to make the computer operational, shell should keep working, so that it keeps giving you desktop or a command prompt on the screen, so that you keep interacting with the operating system, because that is the basic means of interacting with the operating system. So shell all the time it is running, and you know that anything which can be executed must be lying in computer's main memory only. As long as it is existing on hard disk, we cannot run it. So of course, in order to execute any program, we have to bring that program from hard disk to main memory. Then only we can run. So since shell keeps running, that means shell all the time keeps residing in the computer's main memory. And of course, that the space of RAM, which is identified as system space, because that space will not be available to ordinary users for storing their programs. Rather, that is totally protected area where operating system is kept itself or is active, and from there only it is managing. So when shell is all the time working, so there are maybe certain commands which we know as internal commands. Why do we call them internal commands? Because their code is internal to shell, and shell is already there in the RAM, because that's why we are able to execute the command. So for such commands, the code is already embedded as part of shell. Because of that only we don't need any external file corresponding to that command. So those commands are called internal commands. Like in case of DOS, it is copy command. Okay? It is dir command. Okay? These are the internal commands. And accordingly, we are having certain commands whose code is not available as a part of shell. So because of that only, when you try to run those commands, so of course we need the corresponding file so that the program can be loaded from hard disk to main memory, and then only you can execute those commands. So those commands are called external commands, and one such command, for example, is format command, because it's not internal command. So I mean, it's very easy to understand that those commands which are the part of shell or whose codes are the part of shell, so they are internal to shell, and we don't need any explicit file to exist for corresponding to such a command. So we say that that command is internal command. But there must be certain commands whose codes are not already embedded in shell. So of course we need corresponding files to exist on hard disk so that we can run those commands, or we can execute those commands. And when you are executing any such command, the program or the code corresponding to that command will be loaded from hard disk to main memory, and then only it will be executed, because you know that not entire operating system is kept all the time in computer's main memory, because it's a huge and it's very big in size. Because when you are installing Windows, the total space which it occupies on hard disk will be much might be greater than what amount of RAM you are having in the system, because we know that the entire operating system must not be kept in the RAM at one time. So there are certain essential parts which become resident when we are booting the system. Rest of the parts, they keep loaded or keep discarded from the RAM as per requirement, because you know that there are some essential basics in certain subjects which we always keep in our mind. But there may be certain specific topics. For that you have to refer to the book, you are understanding, and then only you will be in position to write any examination. See, you cannot keep the entire book all the time in your mind. You may be having some basic fundamentals stored in your mind, but you cannot keep everything, or you cannot remember everything which is stored in a very voluminous book, a very big voluminous book. So of course, whenever you need any such requirement that you have to execute certain formulae or certain concepts which is very difficult and very lengthy, so of course you have to refer to the book, and then only you are bringing it to your brain, and then only you are in position to make use of that concept. Similarly is true with computers also. Not everything we are keeping in the RAM. As and when required, the things are loaded from hard disk to main memory, or they are kept discarded when the uses of those things are over. So I suppose this is clear now. Ki we can provide input to any program in two different ways. Either when we run that program, so on command line itself we give the input. So in that case, the program is not, I mean, that kind of interactive that it is prompting you to enter the name, it is prompting you to enter the roll number. No, you have specified that input from the command line itself along with the program name, and you are causing that program to execute over such values. Okay, as we do in case of certain commands. And otherwise, we are writing the programs where we are making use of cin or scanf or a read line or that kind of statements of Java, C or C++ to take value from the keyboard. So when we are making use of this concept, of course, we have to make use of command line arguments. Okay? Then only it's possible that you can provide input when you actually run the program. So the same thing is true with Linux also. So basically you will find that the concept is very close to C language, because here too we can pass certain input from the command line. I mean, I may write a program ABC and I can write 4, 5, 6. Now this is the input that we are providing to ABC program to execute. Now in order to access these values inside the program, we have to have some variables. Like in case of C language, you know that we are having argv0 to have the access of ABC, argv1 to have the access of 4, argv2 to have the access of 5. So similarly, when we are writing any shell program in Linux or in any I mean version of Unix, so inside the program we can access all these values with the help of these predefined variables. I mean, when you write or you use $0 that means you are referring to the first argument on the command line, because always we start with the count of 0. So, and $1 is referring to 4, $2 is referring to 5, and $6 is referring to 3. Sorry, $3 is referring to 6. Okay. So by this way we can access all the values. So these are having specific meanings, and we do not do any kind of assignment, as we have seen in yesterday's session, that we can write k is equal to malvia. So that is a user defined variable. Okay. But these variables don't need to be defined. Reason being, the values are implicitly set. When you are giving it the values on command line, they are automatically getting assigned to different variables, and those variables, through those variables you can access them inside the program. So $0, $1, $2, $3, they are having a specific meaning for shell. So that is why they also fall in the category of meta characters. Okay. So I suppose now it's clear that why do we make use of $0, $1, $2, and we can see the execution of this also. I mean, you don't need to write the shell program in order to understand the concept of this. There is a command called set. With the use of that only you can set this, the value, you can set these values. So let me come to this screen, and here we'll see how can we make use of how can we understand the concept of this $0, $1, $2. So there is a command called set. When we write set and we write 12, 13, 14, 15. So what this set is doing, basically, it is implicitly setting the values of 12, 13, 14, 15 as command line values. Okay. And to whom they are getting assigned? They are getting assigned to $1, $2, 3, and so on. Okay. See, that is another way. When we are when on white screen I have shown you that we can write a program like ABC, and there at the time of execution we are specifying the input like 4, 5, 6. So inside the program we are accessing 4, 5, 6 with the use of $1, $2, or $3. But since I have not yet started shell programming concept, so basically we are confined to command line only. So that is why I'm giving the example ki set is basically a command to set the values of positional variables or command line variables. ठीक है, जिनको हम positional variables कहते हैं, positional parameters कहते हैं. So now if I am echoing the value of $1, so I am getting 12 because they are implicitly set. So values are implicitly set. Okay. Similarly, we can write echo $0, and you know that dollar is preceded with any name or sequence or any variable, anything before that. If $, is preceded, so we say that it's a variable, as we have seen in case of $k, or any variable which is preceded with $home, for example, as environment variable. So here when we write $0, so that is bash. Bash is actually my shell. Because of that only I am getting this dollar prompt. So bash is actually the program which is responsible for execution of or which is responsible for uses of these values 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay. So in a single go, if you wish to display the values, so you can use echo, and you can use $. So all the values in a single go you get on the screen. I mean, you don't need to access them individually as $1, $2, 3. If somebody is asking you to list all the values which you have passed on command line, so of course we can use echo $. And similarly, another one is $@. Here too, when you execute this command, so we are getting the output in the same way as we do get in case of $, but there is a big difference. So that difference will be clear later on. Right now you understand that both are responsible for display of values on the screen. So you can do you can execute these commands in this way with the help of $, or $@. Similarly, if I am interested to know that how many values I have passed on command line, so I can use echo $#. So by the way, the values are 4. There is a difference between the concept of C and what we are using in Unix or Linux. In C, when you see argc, so if I am writing, let us suppose in case of C language, I have written a program with the name set.c, and I have compiled that program and I have generated the executable version of that program as with the name set only. Set is the name of object file which I have generated from set.c. So now I can, I mean, you can imagine that this is a C program which I am running. Okay. And here I am passing the values like 12, 13, 14, 15. So now when I'm doing this, inside the program, we are taking int argc. And by the way, when I say argc, it is not mandatory that you always take argc. I mean, we used to take the variable, or we used to choose a variable names which have some sense, which are meaningful. So that is why we are taking argc, but it's not mandatory that every time you take argc. You know that variable is of your choice. I mean, whatever sequence of characters you wish to take as variable, that you can take. So argc, since it seems logical that argc is argument count. So here, if suppose this is a C program and you run set 12, 13, 14, 15. So in that case, argc will be having the value 5. While in case of Unix or Linux, it has the value 4 because it is not counting the $0 in the actual count of number of values which you have passed on command line. Is it okay? It is not counting set as program name, which is actually getting assigned to $0. Had we written this program in C language and compiled it, okay, then in that case, you would have got when you displayed $0, you would have got set as a value assigned to $0. But here it's not coming because of course set is a command of Linux. And in case of Unix or Linux or any version of Unix, only the number of values which we are passing after the file name are counted. Okay, whereas in case of C, the file name which you write as first argument on command line is also counted in the argument count. And that is why there the value of argc is 4, where in this case, when we write echo $hash, we are getting only 4. But in case of C, we must be getting it 5. Okay, including 4 values 12, 13, 14, 15 and the first argument which is set actually. Okay. So is it okay? So now here I have shown you that this we are doing on command line, but otherwise we may write a program. I may write a program with the name prg.sh. This may be my shell program, and then I am writing I am passing on some values. Okay. So inside the program we can access these values with $1 and $2. Okay. So in the older versions of Unix, only 10 variables were allowed. I mean, starting from $0 to $9. So only 10 variables were allowed. So 10 variables means it implies that we can at the most give 10 values after any command name or program name. Like here we have given only 4, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it if you look at set, so agar ye program hota, so it must have got assigned to $0. Okay. So in that case, apart from the first argument, which is set, the remaining 9 values could be possibly given on command line, but this is not true. Actually, there too, it was possible that you can give more than 10 values on command line. But then the question arises, how can we access them? Because inside the program, we are restricted to make use of only $0 to $9. I mean, only 10 variables. So there, the concept was shift came into picture. I mean, if I am writing set and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so many values I have given. Okay. Now, if you are restricted to make use of only $0 to $9, so $0 is already you know that cannot be used in this way because it is permanently holding bash. Now $1 is having 1, $2 is having 2, because if I display $1 echo $1, I am getting 1. So that means we can go up to 9 only, because $9 will be 9. Okay. Then how can we access 10 or 11? See, I am talking about older version. It's not applicable to this one, which right now I am using. Okay. So in that case, it was allowed to execute shift. When you are doing shift, so it is performing left shifting. So what is happening after set? since we have started the values from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so the entire sequence is starting from 1 to 11, that will be shifted to the left hand side. Mind it, excluding the first argument, which is assigned to $0, because that is not counted. Okay. So what will happen? 1 is discarded. Now 2 will be assigned to $1. So then if you are writing say echo $1, see we have got 2. So there is one shifting, because one time you have executed shift. So all the entire sequence of values, they are shifted to the left hand side, and the first value was 1, so that was discarded. Now 2 has taken the first position, 3 has taken the second position, so all the numbers in sequence, they are shifted. So right now if I am writing echo $9, so I am getting 10, because by this way one was able to access the remaining values beyond total count of 10. ठीक है, तो उनको एक्सेस किया जा सकता था. Similarly, it was possible to execute, I mean, if 3 times you have to execute shift or 2 times you have to execute shift, you could write shift 2. It is similar to executing shift 2 times. So what will happen? 2 will be discarded, 3 will be discarded, and what will happen? Then echo $1 will become 4. So that is as it is shown on the screen. Okay. But now this has become easier rather. Here we have the option of making use of even the any number of argument, any number of values which we are passing on command line, because now in bash we are having the flexibility of using, I mean, just I am coming to this sequence and look at this, what is happening. If I am writing echo and I am writing echo 10, see after this 9, it was not possible to write $10, because otherwise it could be treated as $1 followed by 0. Okay. So in that case, what I could get was only eventually it is happening that $1 is having the value 1 and 0 is following that $1, so 10 is shown on the screen. ठीक है, अगर मैं इसको एक बार shift कर दूं, so this will be rather more clear. Now if I am executing, so look, it's coming 20, because $1 is showing 2 and 0 is followed as a ordinary character, so 0 is printed as it is. ठीक है, so it is coming in the same way on the screen. But it is possible that right now we can write echo, and if I access $10, I should get 11 on the screen, and see I am getting 11. So now it's possible that even beyond 9 you can use 10, 11, 12, as many, I mean as many index value you can use, as much bigger index value you can use, provided you are enclosing it between curly braces. Okay. So when we write dollar, because after $9 we start writing $10, where 10 is enclosed between curly braces. 11, 12, 13, 14, we are following the same sequence. So is it clear that how can we make use of this? We have seen $0 to any number of index values. I mean, up to $9 we are writing it as a simple digit like 9, but after 9 we start including those 2-digit numbers between curly braces. Similar is the case of 3-digit numbers or 4-digit numbers. I mean, you don't worry about the access of these values inside the program. It's not required as we used to do in earlier versions by executing shift. Okay. But anyways, conceptually we should understand.
I have a question.
Yes, बताइए.
सर सेट में सर कोई भी वैल्यू सेट कर सकते हैं, जैसे नंबर्स हो, स्ट्रिंग्स हो.
हाँ, yes, you can do that also. I mean, I can show you the example. ठीक है, you can write Madan, you can write Mohan, you can write Malviya, and now you can write echo $1. Okay. So we are getting Madan, and if you wish that
सर इसको लिस्ट की तरह ट्रीट कर सकते हैं?
हैं?
सर इसको लिस्ट की तरह, मतलब नंबर भी हो स्ट्रिंग भी हो, दोनों साथ में.
हाँ, यस, हो सकता है, क्योंकि ये कंटेंट ओरिएंटेड होता है ना. ये भी पॉसिबल है कि अगर मल्टीपल वर्ड्स की स्ट्रिंग है, जैसे आई एम शोइंग इट, ठीक है, एंड सी द इम्पैक्ट. entire Madan Mohan Malviya is being treated as a single entity passed on command line. ठीक है, तो अगर आप if you are including multiple words between double inverted commas, then that will become a string comprising of 3 words. And if you are individually writing Madan Mohan Malviya, so these are the three words separately assigned to $1, $2 or $3.
सर 6 और 7 के बीच में एक स्पेस है, तो सर ये कैसे चेक कर रहा है कि ये इंटीजर है कि ये स्ट्रिंग है, क्योंकि 7 के आगे एक एक्स्ट्रा स्पेस है।
हाँ, मैंने पहले ही बताया कि आप जो ये स्पेस सिंगल या मल्टीपल स्पेसेस को वो फील्ड सेपरेटर की तरह ले रहा है। और दूसरा ये है कि ये तो हमें पहले से मालूम है कि जब शेल प्रोग्रामिंग हम करते हैं तो वेरिएबल्स का जो टाइप होता है वो कंटेंट ओरिएंटेड होता है। आई एम नॉट मेकिंग एनी प्रायर declaration of any variable as a string type or a numeric type, as we do in case of Java, C or C++. It's not there. तो ये इंडिपेंडेंट है, ठीक है। आप जब चाहें अगर कोई न्यूमरल होगा तो उस पर आप अरिथमेटिक ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म कर सकते हैं, अगर वो स्ट्रिंग होगी तो उस पर आप अरिथमेटिक ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म नहीं कर सकते, ठीक है। तो जितना स्ट्रिंग के ऊपर परमिटेड होगा that you can execute on a string, और जितना numerals के ऊपर permit होगा that you can perform on numeric quantities. So is it okay?
Yes sir. सर हम echo $1 plus $2 कर सकते हैं, ये सर इवेलुएट करेगा?
नहीं करेगा, इसलिए नहीं करेगा।
यूज कर सकते हैं ना सर?
हाँ, EXPR को, फिर अदरवाइज EXPR क्यों यूज करते हैं? अगर ये इतनी कैपेबिलिटी होती सीधे करने की, तो हाँ आप ये कर सकते हैं कि I can write EXPR $1, ठीक है, and plus $1 that you can do, हाँ that you can do. Sorry, एक मिनट, वो $1 एक्सेस नहीं कर रहा है EXPR, एक मिनट, let me check this. अच्छा, इसमें मैंने असाइन ही अभी $1 इसलिए नहीं कर सकता ना कि मदन मोहन मालविया असाइन हो गया उसको, फिर से इसको रीअसाइन कर सकते हैं, उसके बाद फिर अब एग्जीक्यूट करते हैं उसको।
यस सर,
टू आई एम गेटिंग, ठीक है। तो आपने देखा ना, कंटेंट ओरिएंटेड है। आई मीन आई एम नॉट मेकिंग एनी प्रायर डिक्लेरेशन कि वेदर आई एम हैंडलिंग न्यूमेरिक वैल्यू और स्ट्रिंग, बट यू हैव सीन दैट when I tried EXPR with $1 plus $1, it was having Madan Mohan Malviya only. I mean, it's not showing the concatenated version of Madan Mohan Malviya, because numeric operations are not cannot be performed on string, ठीक है। But when I'm writing 1 2 3 and $1 is holding the value 1, so then it's possible that you can perform addition. Is it okay?
सर अगर कॉन्कैटिनेट करना होगा तो
स्ट्रिंग को?
हाँ यस सर।
हाँ, तो उसके लिए अलग ऑप्शन है ना, वो और बहुत सारी कमांड्स हैं जिनसे कॉन्कैटिनेट कर सकते हैं उनको।
सर इको से नहीं होगा?
इको से भी हो जाएगा। इको फिर आप डिस्प्ले करेंगे ना खाली, उसके बीच प्लस भी करेंगे, है ना। जैसे अगर मैं कॉन्कैटिनेशन का इंपैक्ट क्या आ सकता है, आई कैन राइट इको एंड सिंस आई हैव नॉट रिटन, आई मीन जस्ट 1 मिनट, मदन मोहन, वो तो दैट इज अ सॉर्ट ऑफ डिस्प्ले ऑन स्क्रीन की हमने कैसे उसको डिस्प्ले कर दिया है, तो दिख रहा मदन मोहन। और ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि यू कैन राइट k इज इक्वल टू, एंड आपको जैसे वन सीक्वेंस आई टॉट यू दैट वी कैन एग्जीक्यूट एनी कमांड, so here we can execute this echo $1 $2, so whatever outcome I could get with echo command, ठीक है। So we are using Madan Mohan. Now the concatenated version has been pushed to variable k. बेसिकली आपने उसको डिस्प्ले किया था जैसे हम लोग नहीं करते हैं सी लैंग्वेज में कि वी आर डिस्प्लेइंग टू वैल्यूज ऑन स्क्रीन, आई मीन द वैल्यू ऑफ ए एंड द वैल्यू ऑफ बी, बट हियर यू हैव द फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी दैट द सेम डिस्प्ले यू कैन असाइन एज इनपुट टू सम अदर वेरिएबल, so that is what we have done in this case. K is equal to echo $1 $2. So ordinarily echo $1 $2 is doing what? It's simply displaying two words on the screen, Madan Mohan, but the same display is used as a value to be assigned to k. So because of that only it's happening that when you write $k, you are accessing Madan Mohan as a single word, as a single string, sorry, comprising of two words. So is it okay?
Yes sir.
तो इसमें actually when you compare it with Perl or PHP, you will see lots of similarity between this, even in Python also, ठीक है। बहुत सारी सिमिलरिटी आपको शेल प्रोग्रामिंग में दिखेगी, वैसे ही कंसेप्ट्स हैं। So now it's clear that we can execute any program in two different ways. We can let that program to execute, and then only it's prompting you to enter the value, as it is happening in case of C++ program, like you are making use of cin. So upon encounter of cin, you are prompted to enter the value. Okay. And the second way is we are not letting the program to take the value by giving the prompt. Rather, at the time of starting that program's execution, there only we are specifying the values. Okay. So that is the another way. So this concept could be used to write certain commands. I mean, you can write a program in C which can simulate the operation of copy command. I suppose this is what we discussed in first sem of MCA first year. In command line arguments to simulate any command like type, because whatever cat is doing in case of Linux, the type is doing in case of Windows or DOS. So we write type and then file name. What is happening? The content of that file is shown on the screen, provided that file is a text file. I mean, it may be a C program or Java program which you have written in Notepad or in BlueJ editor. So is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here again, coming back to my earlier screen, the legibility of my handwriting is very poor when I am making use of this tablet. It's very sensitive, it's oversensitive actually. So anyways, just get confined to what I wrote with the point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. केवल आप उसी को देखें. So a few which I discussed so far was $0 to any number of variables for command line variables. Then we have seen $* and $@ of, in both the cases in a single go we were getting the entire set of values which we have assigned to different variables. The complete sequence you got on the screen. Then there is a $? And $sign of exclamation. Okay, and one more is there, $. I forgot to mention it, $. So what $? Is doing basically, see, every program when we run, it must, or every command we run must return exit status back to operating system. I suppose this we discussed, I mean, 1.5 years back when I was taking your class of C language. I told you that why do we write exit 1 or exit 2 or exit 3? What the significance of writing a different number inside the bracket? So basically, in case of Unix, it is any command which is successfully executed is returning 0 status back to operating system. So you know that every command which we are executing is actually started as a child of what? Child of shell. So it is giving back this information to shell that whether it was a successful command or it was a unsuccessful command. Okay. So success तो एक ही होती कि if we are typing any command and we are executing that command, the command is successfully executed and result is shown on the screen. But a command may be unsuccessful because of various reasons. For example, if I am writing cat and I am writing file 1, file 2. Okay, I wish to display the content of file 1 and file 2. Now let us suppose file 1 and file 2, they are not existing. So what will happen? Cat will never execute. I mean, it will not execute successfully. Reason being, there is nothing to be shown on the screen. Okay. Another way could be if I am writing cat, by mistake I have written CATE instead of cat, and then my files are existing, but my command is wrongly spelled. So because of that only your command is failed. So there may be various reasons of failure, but success will be only one thing, that you are running, you are just typing that command and pressing enter and the command is executed. ठीक है, तो ये तो आप एक बार में ऐसे ही मतलब उसका एक ही स्टेटस हो सकता है. तो ये $? जो है, ये आपकी जो मोस्ट रिसेंट कमांड है उसका जो एग्जिट स्टेटस है, दैट कैन बी सीन ऑन द स्क्रीन विद $? And that is the actually the value which is implicitly passed back to shell, indicating ki what was the status of this command, whether it was a successful command or it was a failed command. ठीक है. So I can just show you how it is happening. Like there are certain commands which are always successful. Like if I type ls, so even if you do not have anything inside the B, what will happen? ls will never fail, because at least it will show that the directory is empty. Okay. Here too we are having a number of contents. Now if I am writing echo dollar question mark, what is happening? I am getting 0 on a screen because I am successful. The command was successful. Basically the previous most recent command was successful. So dollar question mark is returning the exit status of most recently executed command. See, remember exit status of most recently executed command. And that is why it seems logical that if we are writing any big program, and there may be certain situations arising during the coding where you wish to display some user-friendly messages on the screen upon encountering of any error. For example, as we do in case of Java, we are raising the exceptions. Okay. In C language, you have the possibility of checking, like if I'm opening any file with fopen command, and we are making use of a file handler fp. We are writing fp is equal to fopen, and we are opening any file in certain mode, and this fp is a file handler, or you can say is the logical name of that file inside the C program. So from that point onwards, whatever operation you wish to perform on that physical file which you have opened on hard disk, okay, that operation you have to perform basically on FP by just making use of FP as a file pointer. Now what will happen if fopen is failed to open that file? You may be writing FP is equal to fopen, and then you are writing within double inverted comma abc.txt, and then you are writing R. You are opening that abc.txt in the reading mode. But suppose abc.txt is not existing on the hard disk, what will happen? This fopen will fail. So what will be assigned to FP? FP will be assigned null value in that case. So usually it is happening this kind of situation when it is encountered in C or C++ program. So what do? We write if FP is equal to null, exit 1. But before that we are writing printf, and then we are raising an error message. Error, the file is not existing, or the opening of file is failed, and then we write exit 1. Okay, and then we are closing that compound statement with curly bracket. What will happen if when upon execution, if fp is found null? So that means it should raise the error message. So that condition becomes true, that fp is equal to null, and the error message is flashed on the screen. And because of exit 1, the program is terminated and you are returned back to operating system. Why do we write exit 1? Because you know that when we write exit, and irrespective to the number which you are writing inside the bracket, the operation is always the termination of program and sending the control back to operating system. But when we are writing exit 1, because if you refer to any standard book of C language or any language, any programming language, you will see that if that program that in the coding, if 3 times such situations arose, because of that only the coder wanted to raise some error messages on the screen and then wanted to terminate the program. He might be writing exit 1 in one situation, exit 2 in second situation, exit 3. Every time it's not written exit 1, exit 1, exit 1, exit 1 only. Or to that matter, if you write exit 0, then also the impact is same. The control is returned back to operating system. But why do we write different number? Because that's the good programming practice, because every time the situation was different, because of that the error was encountered and the program was terminated. So you wanted to send this signal back to operating system that this program terminated because of a different error every time. So once you writing exit 1, that means the program is terminated, but this 1 signifies what? This is the code returned back to operating system. Similarly, when you write exit 2, impact is same. The program is terminated, control is returned back to operating system, but this time 2 values returned. Why? Because this 2 is indicating a different error. So basically nowadays we are not, we get totally insulated from all these happenings. Reason being we are not referring to the manual of any programming language. But in past, when we didn't have the access of internet, or we were not available, we were not having availability of online help. So that time, if any program was debugged or compiled and some errors were encountered, so error codes used to come on the screen, and then we used to refer to the manual to see the corresponding explanation of that particular error code. I mean, you are getting 23. Now you are opening the manual and finding out what is the error corresponding to 23. Okay. So we are having different descriptions for different type of errors. So accordingly, we used to debug the programs. Okay. Now it is not happening, but the significance is same, and it's very important to understand this concept because you will see later on in shell programming when we'll study functions. There too we are making use of this exit status. Okay. Or in case of system call programming, also we are making use of this $? Or exit status. Okay. So I suppose now it's clear that why do we write exit 1, exit 2, exit 3 different types if you are making use of multiple times exit statements in your C program or in your Java program. And when you write exit 0, so even if the program is terminated and your control is coming back to operating system, but do not write 0, because 0 indicates that your program is successfully terminated. Okay. Termination is happening, and if it is usually happening, normally what is happening when program is free from bugs, when we write the program, when the control reaches the last statement of that program, the execution is terminated. Okay. And implicitly 0 is passed back to operating system, indicating that the program was successful. But in between, if you are making use of exit, and there may be a situation that in the normal course you wish to inform the operating system that my program is okay, and now this program is normally terminating. So you can write exit 0, because that 0 indicates to operating system that program was successfully terminated. Now you may be thinking that 1, 2, 3, 4, even if it does have significance for operating system, but what's the use of these numbers for me? No, you may be having a programming situation where it matters a lot what was the status of the previous program informed back to operating system, because based on that you have to take a corrective measure. I mean, why you are thinking that every time the programming will be very simple? I mean, you may be writing operating system itself. So there it matters a lot what was the previous status of that command. So in that case, you have to make use of this concept. Okay. So is it okay we can write echo $? To see the exit status of most recently executed command. Now one more example we can see is, suppose let us see I'm not having any file with the name 5.txt. Okay. So I'm executing suppose grep and searching a pattern, and here I am writing 5.txt. Now error has occurred because there is no such error and there is no such file. So let us see now. We have got the number 2. It's not 0 because my command was failed. Okay. So is it okay? We may be getting a number other than 0 if the command is failed, and command may fail because of various reasons. So with every reason there is a different code. Okay. So you may get 1, 2, 3, 4. That depends what was the reason behind failure of this command. Now the explanation of this too you can get from manual of grep command. From there only you can otherwise we are getting some user friendly messages also upon encountering of any error. And you know that key how do we get this 5.txt no such file or directory? Because somebody who might have written that operating system must have made this provision that when grep is returning this code, this kind of explanation should come on screen. So we are simply checking echo $? We are getting 2. So that is the exit status. Now similarly, another important thing is suppose if I wish to know that which particular shell is working for me. Right now it's bash, and as I told you earlier that we are having a specific process identification number assigned to every process, and bash is actually a process which is continuously working for my terminal, and that's why we keep getting $prompt on the screen. So 2805 is the PID of bash, that is the process identification number of bash. And at any time, if I am interested to know what is the PID of my current shell, so I can write echo $. So I'm getting 2805. Now another difference I can show you, like once again if I write echo $, I have got a different number. So why I have got different number? Because another bash I have started. Okay, and that will be clear when you type ps command. So look, here we are getting two bashes because one was the original 2805 which connected me to the kernel, and second was 3388 that I started as a command. Okay, second time this one. Okay, so now if I'm getting this echo dollar dollar, that means this is giving the PID of the current bash, current shell, sorry, not bash. Bash is the name of that shell which is right now working for me. Okay. Like if I write CSH, CSH is not installed over here. Let me try this if Bone shell is working. Bone shell is working. So now if I write echo dollar dollar, I am getting 3403. Let me check. Now three shells are working. My original shell, the default shell, which was started by default for me, was this one, having this PID 2805. Second, I started as a command. So that was this one, and the corresponding PID was 3388. And because of that only the current, when it became the current shell after starting, when I gave echo dollar dollar, I got this 3388. That was the PID of this particular bash. Then I started bone shell. Okay, and the corresponding command is sh, as bash is for bone again shell. Okay, so this sh is started, and look at this number 3403. That was the PID of this shell, and here too I am getting 3403 as PID. So is it clear? Okay, we can get this with dollar dollar. We can get the current shell, the PID of the current shell. Now if I am writing exit, what will happen? My current shell will be destroyed. And what was my current shell? It was the bone shell, because last shell which I started was this one. So this is terminated, and I came back where? I came back to this point. Okay, because here if I type echo dollar dollar, look, I have got 3388. That was the PID of second shell. Okay, once again if I type exit, I have come back to my original shell. So here if I type echo dollar dollar, okay, I am getting 2805. Mind it, if I'm type here exit, so what will happen? This was the large shell which connected me to the kernel. So what will happen when I destroy it? When I'll destroy it or I'll exit it, I'll become disconnected from the kernel. तो मेरा सिस्टम के ये जो टर्नल है ये क्लोज हो जाएगा. So is it okay? So
Yes, sir.
So now only one last is left, that short I'll clear very fast. Another is echo dollar sign of exclamation. Actually in Linux we have the option of executing certain commands in background. Like I may execute grep and say I'm searching mmm, and I'm searching it in first.txt. Okay. So first.txt is existing, but MMM is not existing. That's why I have not got any output on the screen. But if I wish to, there may be certain operations which are very time consuming. For example, if I'm writing any C project, the project compilation may be very typical and very time consuming. So it may happen that it may take 2 hours, 3 hours time for complete its execution. So under such situations, we can give the compilation command, and at the end we'll give ampersand sign. So when we write at the end ampersand, that means I am interested to submit this command in the background. Okay, as you have seen in case of Windows that we are having multitasking feature. So we have the option of starting multiple tasks one by one, and you have the option of minimizing every window. So that's why it is happening that you are playing the music, you are taking the printout, you are busy with preparation of drafts in Excel. So multiple works you are doing. Now we say that very rugged multitasking is there in Linux. So far we have not seen any example where we are performing multitasking. So in the foreground means when I type any command and press enter, I am getting the result on a screen. So in the foreground, I can execute all these commands one by one. So how can we say that multiple task is happening, and how can we exploit this multitasking feature of Linux? So there this ampersand sign is coming into picture. I mean those things which you wish to submit in the background, that thing should be submitted on the command line following the ampersand sign at the end. So when I do this, this will become a job submitted in the background, and this was the first job. So here this is the PID of that job, because corresponding to that job you say job और process, ठीक है, ये दोनों एक ही चीज है. तो ऐसे ही अब suppose now you wish to know that what is the PID of my most recently submitted background process. So that you can come to know with dollar sign of exclamation. So we are getting 3427 on screen. ठीक है, we are getting 3427 on screen. तो is it okay? ठीक है, आप सपोज जैसे मैंने एक ही कमांड को 2 बार सबमिट किया, ठीक है. अब इसके बाद अगर मैं करता हूँ इको डॉलर साइन ऑफ एक्सक्लेमेशन, तो व्हाट विल हैपन, जो आपका मोस्ट रिसेंटली है ना 3431, वो आपका आ गया. इट इज अनदर थिंग दैट बोथ द टाइम्स आई एग्जीक्यूटेड द सेम कमांड, ठीक है, बैकग्राउंड में. तो हो सकता है क्योंकि मल्टीपल टास्क में आप कितने भी टास्क, एक ही टास्क को आप 20 दफा सबमिट कर दीजिए, इसका मतलब 20 इंस्टेंसेस उस प्रोग्राम के सबमिट हो जाएंगे बैकग्राउंड में. तो now it is clear that how can we run multiple tasks by submitting them in the background. You have to use that command which you wish to submit in the background, and at the end you have to type ampersand. So normally it is happening that research scholars, when they are writing any simulator program for testing different type of routing algorithms, so in those situations the program used to take hours to compile. Sometimes they take even 1 day or 2 day in completing their compilation. So what will happen in that case? If you are submitting it in the foreground, so what will happen once you have given the command, now you will not get dollar prompt unless until that command is completing its execution, and that command will complete its execution tomorrow. So in that situation it is better to submit that process in the background. Okay, so you can submit that process in the background, and later on we'll discuss that even it is allowed that you can close the session, your lab session is over, so you are willing to leave the terminal, but at the same time whatever you have submitted in the background, you wish that that should keep running, so that next time when you are coming for practical session, you can at least see what happened with your previous days submitted program. Okay, so this is also possible, and we'll see later on in system administration part how can we do that. Okay, so my basic primary objective was just to make clear that for what purpose we are making use of dollar sign of exclamation. So I suppose clear now we can make use of dollar question mark just to get the PID of most recently background process. Dollar is the PID of the current shell. Okay, and dollar question mark is the exit status of most recently executed command. So you please keep these three in mind, that what is the purpose of each of them. Okay, dollar question mark, dollar and dollar sign of exclamation. So now I am ending my session today, because you must be having your class at 10:20. So thank you.
सर इसका आउटपुट कब आएगा सर?
इसका आउटपुट तो बैकग्राउंड में आ ही गया है, क्योंकि आपको रिजल्ट दिखाई देता है. मैं इसको और डिटेल में डिस्कस करूंगा कभी कि कैसे इसको करते हैं. ठीक है,
ओके,
थैंक यू सर.
ओके,
थैंक यू सो मच सर. हैव अ गुड डे सर.
थैंक यू.